to also hand the meeting over to Francisco, who will hopefully, if he's able to, read our mission of the club and start our meeting. It's over to you, Francisco.
Thank you. Everybody, I have the printout, so I'll read the mission. Thank you. Advanced Toastmasters Online, our meeting for Wednesday, May 30th, 2018. We are an Advanced Toastmasters Club which supports maverick leaders to have more impact by providing advanced feedback on leadership skills and discovering what it means to be an out-of-the-box innovative leader. I'm going to continue. We have on the meeting, we have the supporting roles. I'm going to introduce our grammarian accountant so she can explain the role to our guest. Tricia Grow, competent communicator, competent leader, advanced leader bronze. Tricia.
Thank you so much. My duties as a grammarian is to listen to our language today for good, bad uses, also pause words that are unnecessary or filler words. And also my job is to provide the word of the day. So I will attempt to share my screen. Are you able to see? Okay. So our word for today is sobriquet. It's a noun and it means a person's nickname. So for example, if people start calling you Mac because you like to eat macaroni and cheese for every meal, then you have a sobriquet. Back to you, Master.
Thank you, Tricia. I have a string of sobriquets, so that's definitely a word I really appreciate. Next on the lineup, I have Pamela Lander. She's going to be our timer. Pamela, can you explain the roles to our guests and everyone who is here at the meeting?
As timer, my job is to track the time for all the speeches, evaluations, and table topics. I just want to clarify for speeches, Dawn, yours is 5 to 7. You can nod your head. And Aaron, yours is 5 to 7. And Alex, yours is 6 to 8. Okay, and there's a huge echo with my voice. I don't know why. And then table topics is 1 to 2 minutes. Evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes. And I will be using these and also putting things in the chat box, time, yellow, green, and red, and tapped box. Okay, that's
Pamela, it. And just for the overall sake of the meeting, I have the Toastmaster app running for a full hour. So if you see me, it's because of the rundown. That's a little suggestion. Right now, we have on our prepared speeches, I have the intro for Dawn. She will be working on a special occasion speeches, 5 to 7 minutes. The project is Speaking in Praise. That's the second project. And Dawn has completed her ACS, ALS, and is working towards her Advanced Communicator Gold, which will be her final step towards her DTM. Today, Dawn will be speaking in praise of Napoleon Hill as she celebrates the launch of her upcoming podcast. Thank you, Dawn. With your project of Speaking in Praise, Dawn Nocera.
Thank you, Francisco. Today, as I launch my Maverick Leadership podcast, I'd like to honor and praise someone who has reached beyond the grave and really been an original Maverick mentor for me. And that person is Napoleon Hill. And I was hoping that I had a picture of him to share with you, but I don't. Napoleon Hill reached beyond the grave probably 20 years ago for me, 25 years ago, when I found this copy of this book in an old used bookstore in my hometown, Marion, Ohio. And since then, I have read it every year. I have other copies, but this is my original copy. And so in praise of Napoleon Hill for being an original Maverick mentor for me, I'd like to say thank you. One of the things that I have learned from reading this book, Napoleon really taught me how to think differently. When I was a young 20-something, ambitious, probably overly ambitious, thinking that I could do everything by myself kind of girl, didn't need any advice, wouldn't take any advice from anyone else. A real rebel, a real renegade. I learned that I could hear his voice. There was something in the way he wrote this book that spoke to me in a way that no other living adult could actually get in and penetrate and say, you need to do this or you need to do that. It could be the fact that he was no longer living and I couldn't quite fight back with him. However, over the years, Napoleon Hill has been a trusted guide for me because as I started reading his book, I learned that he had many other books out there and many audios, and I started to hear his voice every time I read this book. And since then, I've read it at least once a year for every year that I've been alive. So this was probably when I was 22. And I have read all of his books, but this particular one, Think and Grow Rich, inspired me to write my own statement of desire. And I'm going to read it to you. This was 20 some years ago that I wrote this. This was my chief aim in life at the time. And where is it? Oh, excuse me. I guess oh, there it is. My chief aim in life is to create a better world by cultivating an army of wildly successful women who experience a connection with their creator, exude and promote the values of peace and tolerance, education for all, good health, self-empowerment, financial freedom, and community involvement. Because of that definite chief aim in life that I created based on the words of wisdom from Napoleon Hill, I was able to create Educating Jane, which was a website where many, many women and young girls came to seek advice on learning science, engineering, technology, and just helping them become more out of the box women. And this was 20 years ago, and that website has gone on to, or had gone on to, receive many awards, and some from PBS and many women's studies groups throughout the United States promoted that to their student bodies as a website for helping women become wildly successful. It's sort of a defunct website now, but if it weren't for Napoleon Hill, I would never have done that. I never would have taught myself how to code. I never would have taught myself how to create, or I never would have thought of myself as a leader. And I appreciate the fact that in his book, there is a whole section on specialized knowledge. And within that section, there's a magical part, a magical piece of that, which talks about leadership, which I held close to my heart. And I learned to recognize leaders everywhere that I went, thinking that I was not one, but I could at least strive to become one. And because of Napoleon Hill being an original maverick, I feel like I have been inspired to give myself permission to not just look at myself and say I have to be perfect. One of the stories that he shared that touched me so much, and I'll end with this, is that he shared that his stepmother was a huge influence on him, and she encouraged him, she actually convinced him to trade in his pistol as a young kid, probably, I think he said he was 8 or 9, trade in his pistol for a typewriter. And she encouraged him to take that typewriter and begin to write. As he began to write newspaper articles about all the people in town, which led him to be one of the world's most prolific writers and success writers of all time. And for that, Napoleon Hill, I thank you. I thank you for writing Think and Grow Rich and all the other books that you've ever written, and for your crazy, wild life, and for being somebody who can show us how to go from being a maverick, or going from being a renegade rebel to a maverick leader. Thank you very much. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Don, amazing speech, amazing story. It's always great to have the actual memorabilia and the things that trigger those memories. With that, I don't think we do the minute for the evaluator, and just a little technical chat note. Alex posted for his evaluation, which I'm going to ask later who's evaluating him, because we had Jim, we missed him, so we need 2 more evaluators. But right now I'm just going to move on, if it's okay, to Aaron. He has a speech on mentoring. I will greatly would like to go back to this, because he's mentoring on pathways. As I understand it, he has earned the title to be a pathway mentor, and he's currently leading 35 people across the globe on their pathways journey, on their learning experience. Aaron, I've heard things about him. He's been in a lot of places. I know, actively supporting all these online movements. That's my little, I think I know the guy. And with that, Aaron Leung telling us about the Pathway Mentor Experience. Aaron Leung.
Hello, Toastmasters, most distinguished guests, and our dear Toastmaster evening. That was a very great compliment. Well, in terms of mentoring, is whereby one defines as a mentor to really guide, foster growth, and also accompany that person in the journey in Toastmasters, not just in just speaking. It also focuses on leadership. It also focusing on exploring oneself to its fullest potential. Ever since I started Pathway since last year, back in November, officially starting, but I have been doing investigation of Pathway since May last year. And the journey has been rough. And the reason for doing all this investigation is really knowing about what Pathway really can bring for new members, and also solve my doubts on whether the educational program would be helpful. Along the path, ever since the Pathway has kicked off in our district since May 3rd, I started to receive a lot of different requests saying that, could you be my mentor? And I was like, yes, yes, yes. And I didn't say no to anyone, because I couldn't say no. Due to my years of engagement of Toastmasters, is about time to repay. But I lost one thing that I could have sworn myself to be strong, standing strong, is the power of no on moments whereby you may not be perfect. Mentoring, to many people, may be expectation of high caliber. This person has been here for a long time. This person can teach me something. There are people who are 60 years old, 70 years old, who are my Pathway mentee, and I couldn't teach nothing to him with his wide variety of experience in his life. The only thing that I can bring to is really to empower him to try on the Pathway journey. And this is one story that I feel so touched that I did cry one night. The night was where I was actually trying to go to an evaluation. The night is still around like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. To me, it's night because I don't sleep too much. And when I was there going to a club called the Very Best Toastmasters, I noticed this person, veteran, very retired parliamentarian, asking me for advice what Pathway would be. And I said, well, I could help you there. If you need my journey, my experience, I am able to bring you there. He didn't hesitate to say no. And we begin our journey along with the other 34 mentees along the way. And what I did is really just guiding him step by step on making a video tutorial how to start pathways in English, Chinese, and Cantonese. 3 different languages, especially Cantonese wasn't my forte because I grew up elsewhere, so I wasn't that good on that, but I still tried to adapt. And this pathway actually did something for me that I never thought is possible, that I become a 0% IT illiterate in online clubs, although I've been fighting for a long time because I never care about the system requirements and stuff, till a perfectly proficient online Zoom user or even other apps. And this is whereby they start to engage with different pathways because you also have to go online, get engagement, system requirements, test it out. So I guided through it. And he was asking me lots of questions. And it reminds me of my grandpa, because my grandpa always asked me a lot of questions about, tell me which horse do you want to gamble and buy on the newspaper? And then always ask different details. Is this horse looking very healthy? And all these questions that suddenly just perks up like my bubble, and I have to be very patient because I am known to be someone very aggressive or someone that is actually authoritative. But this makes me feel very back to the Aaron that I used to know about myself, the humility. And I guide through his journey step by step. Even if he said I couldn't see it, I highlight everything. I spent one whole day teach him how to even log into Toastmaster International, the website. But along the side, you realize the fruit of seeing someone willing to make the step to change. This is the benefit of how a mentor would be. And not just that, you are seeing someone listening to you and willing to share experience vice versa that you may not know. I thought I know a lot of everything about pathways, but after he taught me something that I should have noticed, such as the system requirements, and I did notice his laptop was actually Windows 98. For people who have been using Windows, you know that it has advanced to Windows 7, not Windows 98. So the only situation when I actually try to do is to actually say that, why not you try to use a phone or a laptop to replace yourself to actually go online? And his phone was Nokia. And Nokia, as you know, the old version doesn't have anything. And okay, I was like, okay, so what else should I do? Is there whereby I can help you to pick your path and stuff? So I actually do like help your members to pick a path. And then we discuss a lot of the things along the way, and we pick effective coaching. And he was really amazed that he tried this a lot of things, but he said that this is one DTM that I see my younger generation of himself in me. And that's where the fruit of labor of mentoring actually goes by, because you see lots of people in life that are willing to help you and guide you through this journey. And when I was spending my time trying to figure out all different possibilities for him, we managed to come up with a solution. And that is to encourage him to buy a tablet. And we still, actually with a tablet, he managed to make progress, did his first speech, etc. Same thing happens to all my other mentees with system requirements issues or even guidance, that I have to spend my time to actually investigate all different things. Because the heart is there. Your heart is willing to make sacrifices to make this person successful. And I really see the benefit of mentoring, because it's about the moment to give, because you have already gained. And when you gain, you share this vibe of very supportive community whereby future pillars of society will still maintain that caliber. And I urge every mentor, every one of you are potential mentors, do this thing that possibly sustain what Ralph's family has been staying on for a long time. Build leaders where leaders are made. And that's my story for my mentor program. Back to you, Toastmaster Evening.
Thank you, Aaron. Definitely glad that you explained it. Story of my life, helping people with apps and things like that. And I guess that's why the Pathways Learning Experience offers so much promise overall, not with some people being base camp manager. So thank you. Next, we added a third speaker, and with that, I'm going to verify that everybody is okay with having just 2 people. I guess the general evaluator can help manage that better. Richard, only 2 short 1-minute round robins, since we're going to have a third speaker. I think we know the format here at ATO. It's 12:26, and I don't know if anybody can see it. I have the timer running here in the back of the whole meeting. Alex sent his project. I understand Tricia is evaluating Alex on this. I'm sorry, Don is evaluating Alex. He posted it on the chat. That's really amazing. Thank you very much. I was able to look at it in between. And Alex shared with us, and I'm kind of old-fashioned, so I'm going from Pathways to my big bag of manuals. The storytelling manual. That one was the easiest, better, bestest, most amazing manual I've ever did, and who knows? They're trying to get us to jump on Pathways, and right now it's tempting to hear somebody work on his project for 6 to 8 minutes. A note for the timer: 6 to 8 minutes from the storytelling advanced manual. Alex with Let's Get It Personal. Let's get it personal. Let's give a warm round of applause to Alex. Take it away.
I should say good afternoon, right? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In the year of 90, or which is about like 30 years ago, people are not open-minded about like sexual minorities. And when I was a kid, my parents taught me that when I grow up, I have to act like a man, and then later on I can get married with another woman, and then have a kid in order to satisfy the wills of the parents. At the age of 13, I confirmed myself as a gay man, and today I'm going to share with you about the journey of self-searching of who I am and how I accept him as a gay man. Like I mentioned before, at the age of 13, I discovered I am a gay man. I remember that when the teacher was lecturing about the issue of gender and sex, he mentioned about the issues about gay men. And when he raised the issue up, majority of the classmates were laughing. But I'm the only person who was not happy with it. Every word said by them was like the knife poking my heart. They hurt so much. Later on, I'm not sure if I needed to tell my parents about it. But I chose not to, because I was concerned that if I told them about it, they might have argued each other and blame each other. This is not I want to see it. As a result, I chose to conceal myself to be a heterosexual man, to make sure there's no problem with it. Also, I told myself that if I grew up, I chose not to fall in love with any other person, or not to get married with other women, in order to not hurt everybody's feeling or cheat on others. After I graduated from the university, I was employed as a luggage man for helping the guests for delivering the luggage safely to their rooms. One day, there's a new colleague, and he was employed as a luggage man as well, and I was a senior. So my job was to teach him what he was supposed to do as a good luggage man, a bellboy. Later on, we get to know each other so well. One day, he told me that he want to go somewhere else with me to have a dinner together. So we chose to took a train. It's like to the other city. It's like 1 hour long by taking the train to over there. After the meal was over, and it was around like 11 p.m. in the evening. There was no train available taking us back to our home. But there's only train available, which is to go further. It's about like 2 hours drive by taking the train. It's Hualien. It's the city of Hualien. It's like east coast of Taiwan. So he said he had never been there before. How about we just go over there and to enjoy the view over there, and then something like that. I said okay, because I had never been there for a long time. We arrived there around like 1 a.m. in the morning time, and we booked the hotel. We waked up in the morning around like 10 a.m. in the morning, and later on, he decided to rent a motorcycle and to ride me around the scenery of the city. And it was my first time to be ridden by a man. And when he was riding me, I feel something interesting about my heart. It's like this flower blooming in my heart, something like that. It was my first time to experience this kind of thing. And later on, when we went back home, I was so excited about it. And after about like 10 days later, he determined to took me to the hot spring in somewhere else, and it was my first time to experience this kind of things. And when we went there, and when we went to the metro together, he just took all of his clothes, something like that, and it was my first time to see somebody like took all the clothes in front of my eyes. I was so shocked, and I think he may found something different, something weird about me. As a result, later on, he chose not to have any connection with me, chose not to contact me. As a result, our relationship was not as good as before. And when I found out about that, my heart was so hurtful, and like eating a meal, or I feel so depressed and not like to interacting with other people. And my found out about that. And then one day, my mother just came to me and asked me, "What's the matter with you?" And then because my heart hurts so much and I have nobody to tell, as a result, I chose to take a risk and tell my mom about it. And then I just told my mom, I may not get married with any person because I am a gay man. And then when my mother heard about that, and she was so shocked, and she just took a deep breath, saying that actually the society is more openly minded about this kind of things. Also, that's my understanding about you. I think it's better for you to not get married with other person because you are hot tempered, and I'm concerned if you get married with another person, you may get divorced in the month. So you just be who you are. And later on, when I was so surprised about my response, so later on I chose to took some class about this kind of issue, and therefore I have more understanding about this issue. based on this, and I know, I have learned like being a gay is not, it's a part of nature, but you just have to be yourself. And usually, if the parents love you, they don't care if you are gay or not. Based on my story about it, I think even though you are different, just be who you are. You don't have to pretend to be somebody else. Just be who you are to be happy with it. So thank you for listening, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. Heartfelt story of self-searching, as you titled it. We are a little bit over time. It was my choice to add this third speech. Again, being a maverick sometimes means to question oneself and, like you said, search for who you really are. Right now, we have on the agenda to send you comments on the chat. I believe the new format is to email you directly for everybody. I need to ask Tricia for the timer report on the 3 speakers. Tricia, please, can you tell us what the timing was?
I'm actually the timer, Francisco.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So Don was
sorry.
6:29, Aaron 7:25, Alex 8:34. So Alex was over by 4 seconds.
Thank you, Pamela. Great. Again, I'm going to hand this over now to Andrea. The agenda says 12:21. I believe we are a little bit over by a few minutes, so I guess a couple of table topics, Andrea?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I also have an echo, so excuse me for that for today. I have one question today, and it's going to be for everyone, and I have put it in the chat box. Often as maverick leaders, we tend to just keep moving forward and don't really enjoy the moment. And I realized that this week as I was flying back from Seattle and got to see Mount St. Helens underneath the clouds, and all it was sticking up was a horseshoe shape. And I had never seen that before. And I thought, you know, I forget to just enjoy the moment, things that are happening in the moment. So today's topic is, please share with us something amazing that you've seen, heard, or experienced this week that you enjoyed or that changed your perspective. Patricia, can you answer that question for me?
To share something that stood out to me, that changed my perspective. I think for me, it would be my little niece. I have 2 beautiful little nieces. One of them is only 1.5 years and the other is 3.5. And I was over in London not long ago, and it was something that my little niece did. It made me really think, because normally for me, you'd be thinking the age of reasoning would be between 7 and 9 years of age. When I was over in London, my brother, he went out to the shop to get a few things to come back, and she was trying to open the window to go out to her daddy, and I brought her back in, and it was just something she did when I was back in Ireland. She held the key in her finger, between her thumb and her index finger, and she was going, Tishy, Tishy, and showing it to me on Viber, and I was like, my goodness, she's able to decipher right from wrong. And I noticed that she's a lot more intelligent than I actually give her credit for. So she absolutely floored me, and I was awe-inspired by her. Madam Topics Master.
Thank you. That was a great one. The same question I'm going to pose to you, Heather. Please share with us something amazing you've seen, heard, or experienced this week that you enjoyed or that changed your perspective.
All right, thank you. Well, I guess this is kind of a multi-part one. One of my brick and mortar clubs I belong to, we have been also experimenting with online attendance. I'm trying to bring them into the 21st century. And our district conference was a few weeks ago, at which I was one of the educational speakers, and they gave me a bonsai, but unfortunately I missed it because I left early. And the member of my club that grabbed it for me gave us a impromptu speech about accepting the bonsai on behalf of me last night at our virtual meeting. And this is a speaker that joined our club about a year and a half ago. And when he first joined the club, he was so shy and so reticent to even speak up in front of us. And this is someone that's going to be an area director this coming year, and he has blossomed unbelievably. It is so fantastic to see the changes that someone has had in Toastmasters just becoming part of a group. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. That will conclude our table topics because we're out of time. Thank you both for jumping in and doing that. I think that means that everybody got a chance to speak that wanted to today, unless Sandy, you wanted to speak also. But I think that you were just going to listen today. So I'm going to introduce our general evaluator for today, which is Rick.
Thank you. Well,
Sorry, Andrea. Okay, I need to ask for the timer report. Sorry for the 2 table topics. Sorry, Richard, from Pamela.
okay.
Okay, I totally forgot to do Tricia, but I did get on Heather and she just did exactly 1 minute.
Okay, yeah, they were on time, both of them. And Rick, again, we're going over time, so if you could please handle the couple of round robins at about a minute from our evaluators. Thank you, sir. Back to you, Rick.
Okay, timer, please keep an eye on the timing, please. I will go as quickly as I can to give a thorough evaluation. Dawn started the meeting at 11:59. Francisco read the mission statement and did a really nice job as Toastmaster. I congratulate you and did excellent transitions, including before the meeting started to check in with the intro for the third speaker. Nice job, Francisco. Tricia had a tough word. I didn't hear her used, but I love the way she had the definition there, and I was very happy with that. Pamela, on the timing roll, I didn't see any colored cards. I don't know if anybody else saw anything. I just saw it in the chat box, but I didn't see any cards displayed.
I was holding them up, so I must not be on your screen because I was holding them up.
Okay, I saw it just now. Now to evaluate Dawn's speech, Patricia, could you please give us a quick evaluation on that?
Thank you, Rick. Dawn, her speech was from the Special Occasions Manual, Speaking in Praise. And the one thing I can say about Dawn's speech for me is I could tell Dawn made this really personal, and I felt that she spoke from the heart. Felt that she did really well speaking praise. For me as a person, I could tell how she felt that she could relate to him, and that I felt that she said that he was her trusted guide and how he inspired her and what she gained by reading the book over and over and over again and what she achieved. So I felt she made it really personal. She also, by speaking in praise, she really hit the nail on the head. And I felt that what would have made this even better would have been if Dawn had an image of Napoleon Hill, because, as you say, a picture paints 1,000 words. But overall, I felt Dawn really met her objectives. I felt that it was a real powerful speech, and I really enjoyed listening, Dawn. Back to you, Rick.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do we have any other comments or thoughts about Dawn's speech? Not seeing any. I would like to comment on Patricia's evaluation. She gave a very good evaluation on the speech. I didn't see too many rooms for improvement there, and there's always space for improvement. The one thing, well, I'll go into that when I do table topics. For Aaron's speech, who's evaluating Aaron's speech? Okay. Tricia, could you give us an evaluation on Aaron's speech?
Yes, thank you very much. Aaron, thank you so much for sharing from a level 2, and this was on your mentoring path. And I have a new sobriquet for you. You are the Mentor King. So that is your new nickname. Congratulations. Aaron, I thought some of the things that you did very well is that your rate of speech is very good. We can understand you, don't go too fast. Very easy to understand what you're saying, what you're trying to convey to us. I thought that some of the phrases that you used during your speech, such as perfectly proficient, fruit of your labor, just they're very colorful types of sentences spaced throughout your speech, really keeps us into what you're trying to convey to us. Some of the things I thought that you could work on is that you, even though your rate of speech is very good, your vocal variety could be better. You tend to stay in like one band, so I would challenge you to try and use different tones or try and change the speed of your speech a little bit here and there. The other thing is, when we're online, and you know this, is that when you're moving your hands, you were moving it so fast, it was just a blur. So if you are going to use hand movement, particularly make sure it's slow so we can see what you're doing. Other than that, I thought it was excellent speech. I really enjoyed your conclusion, tying back up to your purpose of your speech. And I always look forward to hearing you again. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
General Evaluator, yes, thank you. Very good evaluation, did have some good rooms for improvement. The one thing I would like to suggest is a little bit more vocal variety during the evaluation, because we are just visual, and it would be good to have some more vocal variety to help with the evaluation to get that point across. Now to evaluate Alex's speech. Dawn, I understand that's your task.
Yes, thank you, Rick. And thank you, Alex. I want to make sure I can see you as I'm giving you an evaluation here on top. Yes, thank you very much. I appreciated the fact that you came and you shared so personally with us as in your storytelling speech. You didn't just give us a story. I feel like you gave us the defining story of your whole life. And I really appreciate that you brought us into your world as a new club in a way that was so intimate, so private, and so vulnerable. So I appreciate that. I think there was a hidden message in here that I'm just going to call out, that mothers are awesome, that we can see and we can support people like nobody's business. And I just want to say thanks to your mom for being a part of that for you. I know, having 3 kids, that it's a big deal. And I don't know why it's bringing tears to my eyes, but so I appreciate that. The thing that I want to challenge you with, Alex, because we are an online advanced Toastmasters group. When you were bringing your microphone up to your mouth, you were covering your mouth for one thing. So I would suggest that you might try giving a speech or speaking without your earphones just while you're speaking, because you sounded very clear at the beginning of the meeting, and while you were speaking with the headphones, it wasn't as clear. So I would challenge you to test that and to play with it to see what works best for you in presenting your topics to us, because right now it sounds like the earphones are a distraction and not a help. So keep that in mind. The other thing is, when you're giving a speech, I know this was a tough one because this was so intimate. So your eyes were not connected to us. You were off, looking like this. Challenge yourself to put either a sticker where the video is. Like right now, I'm looking at my little green dot on my computer. I had to do this for many, many months to put a sticker right where the camera is, so I knew where to look, even though you're right here. my camera is here. I know I'm speaking to you personally now, but if I'm looking over here, it's not the connection that you need from me. So those two things are a technical issue. I hope that you continue to explore and bring that to this club and this environment. And I appreciate that you shared something, again, so vulnerable. And I believe it did have structure. It had the great elements of a good speech and a good story. And with that, I'm going to give the meeting back over to Rick, our general evaluator. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you. Thank you, Dawn. That was a very good evaluation, some rooms for improvement, although mostly technical, but that was very important for us as a online club. Are there any other people that would like to offer Alex some feedback? Yes, Francisco.
Alex, to elaborate a little bit on Dawn's comments, for example, yes, I'm simply on a phone, but something as relatively simple as a Bluetooth device will work wonders. Yes, this is a high-end one, but I'm across a store that carries them for a few dollars. I didn't bring it today. I have a headphone, which works even better. So definitely those kind of things will make your content, because remember, now you share this with the world. So everything we do here, it's content that Advanced Toastmasters is creating. So I wanted to extrapolate on that. Back to you, Rick.
Thank you. Thank you. There is something that I would like to say to Alex. I really want to express to him my personal heartfelt thanks for being so vulnerable and giving such an amazing speech. I don't really know you, Alex, obviously, but that speech made me love you a little bit, and I really would like to see you continue on your path with us and grow together. Thank you so very much. I did not ask if there were any further comments on Aaron's speech. Were there any further comments on Aaron's speech? I guess not. So let's see, Tricia, word of the day. How did we do?
I believe that I was the only one that used it, but I could be incorrect. It was a tough one.
It was a tough one. I didn't hear anybody else using it, but I might steal that one and use it in a brick and mortar club. Grammarian? Did we have a grammarian today?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, that's just you, yeah. But I mean, our count or anything else?
Yeah, I have. Would you like me to give that report now?
Would you be so kind?
Sure. Okay, we had some grammar issues today. So while you were doing your speech, you did a few double clutches where you would start a sentence and then restarted it again. I only counted it 2 or 3 times, so it wasn't terrible, but just something that you want to keep an eye on. Some phrases that you used. Utterly successful, the magic part, and I can't read my writing. Use so 2 times, about 4 times, 1 and 2 ands that I didn't really think that were necessary. Francisco, you use so 2 times, like 3 times. Alex, 2 times and 2 times, and so and quite a few times. Some phrases I heard from you 2 gentlemen were, or from Alex's, my heart hurt so much, that really just touched me. And I also had a little note about your mic, maybe just even moving it a little further away from your mouth, because every time you breathed out, it came right into the mic. So it was very difficult to hear you at parts. Aaron, you said like 2 times. And some of the phrases that you used during your speech that I really enjoyed is, I couldn't say no, but then I learned the power of no. You also stated you couldn't teach anything. You might want to change that verb to I can't teach anything. I'm not sure if that would be the correct usage, but couldn't is not good. And let's see, for table topics, or Andrea, she said twice, so once. Patricia, when she said, hit me on the head, I really like that little part of her story. And Heather said, well, once that wasn't, it wasn't necessary, it was a pause word. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you for your report. Good job. There is something, I apologize, I'm bouncing around a little bit, but it's possibly because of where I am. On table topics, Patricia ran with topic, did a nice job with that, but a little less movement because when we're moving around on the camera, it makes it a little bit hard to focus. But I was amazed with the job she did on the table topic. And Heather, what nice presence on the video. Very nice presence. The only feedback I could give you is leave out the thank you. You don't have to thank us. We thank you for participating. Good job. That's all I have to say. I'm going to stick with it. And Mr. Toastmaster, the meeting is yours.
I'm going to give
Thank
you a
you,
timer,
sir.
even though you didn't ask. I'm going to do a timer's report on the evaluators.
Oh, I thought, okay. Go for it.
Patricia was 1:13. Tricia was 1:58, and Don was 3 minutes.
Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, Rick. I use technology. That's part of what I'm reading on the agenda. So sorry if I'm showing this and popping things on the camera. It's mostly to actually acknowledge the fact that we recover back to the agenda set 12:48. That's when Richard started. So congratulations to the group. I know there's been a thread. We have about 8 minutes. So I would rather give the meeting back to Dawn after I ask. Of course, I don't know if we want to pick up roles right now, let her handle it, but since there was a thread on membership, really active, really helpful, really detailed last week, I was hoping maybe she could explain a little bit more, because I definitely would like to find out when we're going to get charter. So I believe I saw the agenda, by the way. I finally got into the website today, and I saw it seems like we are mostly signed up for, but I'm going to defer that to our current president, de facto president, Dawn. And with that, thank you, everybody. We're a few minutes ahead of time, so it seems like we're going to have time for announcements and discussions by Dawn. Dawn, take it away. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Francisco, for a great meeting today. And at this point, I am going to, I really would like to ask Heather, since this is her first meeting, how she enjoyed the meeting, and just give us some feedback and introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Dawn. It's a pleasure to meet all you. I know Erin. Hi, Erin. Let's see, I'm a member of 3 clubs. One of the clubs is a club in Virginia. I'm in Connecticut, so it's a brick and mortar club with online attendance. And I've been kind of bopping around through the other online clubs just to get some good ideas, see how everybody operates. We are actually going to be forming an advanced club in my own district that's primarily going to be online, but we're also going to do in-person get-togethers. So I'm kind of gathering best practices. I enjoyed meeting all of you very much. I do think it's interesting, every single online meeting that I have attended has, and I've been told this prior, has so much differences between the brick and mortar clubs. I did find it very interesting that you guys had timer reports in between every kind of module instead of at the end. That's pretty much it, I guess. Thank you, Dawn.
Thanks, Heather. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you sharing your intent and why you're here, to give us more of an understanding. Yes, a very hardworking woman you are. So I appreciate that. And at this time, we're going to open up the meeting for discussion about membership, but I want to close the official meeting. So if there's nobody who wants, if people want to stick around for that, they can. If you want to check out, you can as well. But at this point, I'm going to put my gavel down and say the meeting is adjourned, and I'm going to stop the recording.